Welcome to the Team Lawson channel. I'm Theresa.
I'm Mike.
And we're millennials and we're making it. On our channel, we discuss all things that meet within the intersection of millennials, marriage, and special needs parenting.
We also want to create a community that's both inclusive and encouraging.
So today, we're going to talk about our journey to Maci's diagnosis. We talked a little bit about it, like the backstory in one of our previous videos, but we didn't really get into specifics of like, how do we get to the point where we were like, oh, our child needs to be evaluated and we think it's autism, right? So,
I didn't think it was autism.
That's part of the story. So, Maci was born via C-section. She was a stubborn baby. She didn't want to come out. I was induced because I was having issues with my liver. And Maci was just like, nah, I have a week and a half. Y'all said 40 weeks. And so I had it, was it an emergency C-section? It wasn't planned. So I guess it was an emergency C-section. After about 18 hours of unmedicated labor, they put in an epidural. And then they were like, yeah, we're going to have to cut the baby out. So had a C-section. I feel like the first 6 months were par for the course. Normal baby stuff.
Mm-hmm.
6 months of life. She had a fever once. She had, I'm going to say this because I know everybody's going to be like, did she get her shots? Yes, she had her shots on schedule. I think one time she had, I don't think it was either, I think she just had a normal reaction. Her arm was sore and she was slightly febrile. She wasn't 98.6. She was like 99. And it was the first time I think in her entire life she was uncomfortable. She was like 5 months old and I had no idea what to do. I called my mama crying. She was like, did you give her some Tylenol? No. Maci never. I gave her some Tylenol. She was fine. 6 months to a year, Maci met milestones, all of them late. So, crawling, like 9 months. Oh, and we also should say that she had an abnormally large head.
No, man, she ain't really crawled.
She did crawl. She just did it really late.
I remember her crawling on her back.
She did that too, but we knew that I've seen her crawl. And that's why the doctor wasn't concerned. Michael is referring to the fact that when she scooted across the floor on her back, but she could crawl. She did it once or twice, didn't like it. She hated tummy time. Refused to do it. Just fits and screamings. Did not like being on her tummy. And then crawling was late, about 9 months. That was around the time too that she had an ultrasound of her brain to make sure she didn't have fluid on her brain. And the way that they do it, because the baby's skull is soft and the soft spot hasn't hardened, they like to do it much earlier. But Maci didn't have any like health concerns that would make her larger head a concern. Like they only worry about a larger head if there's some sort of developmental growth concerns. And I think just out of abundance of caution, since she was late to everything, they ultrasound what was left in the soft spot of her head to see if there was any excess fluid on her brain. And there was none. I'm sure other parents have had to do that before, but she just had a large head. There was like the growth curve for the head, and then there was Maci's. She had her own curve, like over 100th percentile. She always had a larger head. And then walking. She wasn't late. She walked sooner than most of our nieces and nephews. Around 11 and a half months, she took her first steps. It was before her first birthday, but she wasn't doing a whole lot of walking. She didn't really start walking really good, like as a modes of transportation for her own body, till 14, 15 months. But she could walk. And so there were really no concerns. I think the only thing that was of concern for me early on was the way that she played and the amount of words that she had. Even early on, Maci was very good with communicating without words. She, yeah, or with as few words as possible. She was not interested in having to use a whole lot of words to express to you what she wanted. Um, and she had already developed some really repetitive play, banging. She rarely played with toys the way they were supposed to play, and if a toy made a noise, she wanted it to play that noise over and over and over and over and over again. She still does that. And I think that was about the time where I was like, because my mom was a parent in an autistic classroom for almost a decade, and I asked her, like, Mom, do you think maybe Maci is autistic? And she was absolutely, no, she's just a baby. I be with her every day. She's fine. What about for you? Anything in the first year of life that caused you any concern?
No, because I wasn't. I thought it was normal baby behavior because I grew up around kids. So
yeah, and his mom has had 30. How many foster kids in the past? 30 years.
I have no idea.
It's probably more than 30. Dozens.
Now my mom had, and she saw it.
She did.
And she just didn't want to tell me that.
How early on did you think?
I don't know. That's something I have to ask her. But I know she saw it.
Mm-hmm.
And she wanted to bring it to my attention, but she didn't know how I was going to take it. So, and then I had never really... Well, I'd been around kids with autism, but I didn't know... I guess I didn't know what autism was until... really, up until I found out your mama dealt with it. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't know what all autism entailed. But,
right.
When I really found out, that's when I thought back, and I knew a few kids who had it. And I just didn't...
You just didn't know.
Yeah, I didn't know. So autism was a whole new world for me.
Yeah. So between year 1 and 2, it was really just getting her to talk and getting her to play with kids. Like, she could play with the kids that were really, really close to you. It was almost always inappropriate play. So, like, when I say inappropriate, I don't mean sexually or explicit or anything like that. But, like, you would play build the blocks with your godbrother, right? She would let her godbrother build the blocks. She would knock them over and then watch him cry.
I taught her that.
Poor godbrother would just be, and they're the same age. He's a couple of weeks older than her. And he would just be like, why is she doing this to me? And they finally found a way that they could play together. And that was chase the godbrother. She would get a huge kick out of chasing her godbrother around our apartment. They would just run back and forth. And she would just be falling over herself laughing. And that was his way of playing with his god sister. With her older cousin, she wanted to be close to her older cousin. She just didn't want her older cousin to touch her. And so her older cousin is very lovey-dovey, squishy-wishy. She just wants to hug on her sweet, cute young cousin, and makes me just be like, please, no touching. Please don't touch me. It was so precious. But they could play side-by-side play as long as older cousin promised not to touch. That was the play. And there wasn't a whole lot of communication. Maci could communicate wants and needs. I remember... Maci figured out how to say want some water, and Daddy was driving on the road, and she said it in front of him to me one time, and my husband laughed at that baby so hard because he was laughing because it was the most precious thing. It filled him with joy, and he hurt her feelings so bad. She would not ask for water. She would just scream at me and throw her cup for a good week. So between 2 and 3 is when we started potty training. Because around 18 months, Maci decided that it was a real problem for her to have a wet or soiled diaper in front of people. It was okay if she was at home with just us, but if other people were around, she would throw this huge meltdown fit, go hide in the corner. And she wouldn't I figured out just by trial and error that it was because she was soiled. But she wouldn't communicate to us, hey, can you please change me? And so I was like, well, let's just start potty training. You can put it in the toilet if you don't want it on you. And that was a nightmare. a horrible poop smear filled nightmare. We tried every type of we tried every type of training, potty training technique. We devoted weekends to it. No, I was turning it down because I'm picking up real hot.
That's
We were devoting weekends to it, and nothing. Almost to the point where I am intentionally not putting my pee and poop in the potty. Like, I'm doing this on purpose. And yeah. I think we quit at one point. Somewhere between like 3.5 and 4. We literally just put her back in diapers. And
I didn't quit.
He was at work. I quit. I put her back in diapers. Not even pull-ups. Because pull-ups are more expensive, and then you're just gonna pee and poop in them. I'm not buying them. At about between 3 and 4, we put her back in diapers, and we were like, I'm not doing this. I was like, I'm not doing this.
Yeah, I kept putting her on the toilet and stuff.
Yeah, I was not.
So in a way, I potty trained her.
No, you did not.
I said in a way. I didn't take full credit.
You did not at all. That's not how she ended up being potty trained. That's not how she ended up being potty trained, though. Do you remember how she ended up being potty trained?
Yeah, she went on some treats.
Do you remember what we did, though? Do you remember the process?
I know we, them honey buns is what did.
No, well, the honey buns is what did. But that's not, you don't remember the process.
Yes, I do.
No, the chart.
Janice, yeah, I remember that chart too.
Mm-hmm. That is what was potty trainer. And if y'all want us to do a video on potty training difficult kids, let us know, because this way was the only thing that worked. It was hard, but it was the only thing that worked for us. But yeah, and so around 3. I just had a meltdown with the potty training. I sent Maci to my mom's house. I called her first, crying on the floor. Maci was crying on the toilet. And I called my mama. This was after her 3rd birthday, around Christmas time. And I called my mom. I was like, Mama.
When all this stuff happened.
At work. I was like, Mama, I can't raise. I literally told my mama, I cannot raise this child. I'm not doing it right. I don't know what's going on. She's like, you probably just need a break. Bring her here. I think Mama kept her for like 10 days. She may have kept her for 2 weeks. And then I had a new resolve. I wanted to homeschool her for pre-K after she turned 4. And so what I was going to do was I was going to get the homeschooling kit. I was going to see where she fell at in the skills ranges. And then because she still wasn't speaking in a way that made me comfortable, I was going to get her evaluated by a speech therapist. And I thought maybe she had some sensory processing issues, and maybe she had sensory processing disorder, and that was going to help her. That was going to be the fix that we needed. So I convinced my husband that we were homeschooling. He was like, fine, whatever. And I got the homeschooling kit, and I realized all of this developmental skills that she lacked, to be able to even start on the 4-year-old kindergarten homeschooling pack. Like, I was not qualified to do that. Like, to build the skills that she needed to even start homeschooling. And so I made up in my mind that I was going to get a new doctor, because I had mentioned some of the speech concerns that I had with her previous doctor. And he was like, it's not that big a deal. And I managed a potty training issue. She's like, not that big a deal. And at the time, that was her 3-year-old doctor appointment. So at the time, it probably wasn't that huge a deal, but it's something that I think could have been evaluated at that time. So I didn't like his response. So I was like, I'm going to find another doctor who will look into my concerns. And then my sister-in-law recommended her doctor, and we went, and oh boy. So we went to the doctor's appointment. Maci wanted to go back to her old doctor, and she screamed the entire time. She screamed and had horrible echolalia, which basically is just this repeating thing. Like, she had no novel conversation. She had no she didn't even communicate demands at that point. I'm not crying. It's fine. She wouldn't even communicate demands at that point. But yeah, she just screamed the whole appointment. What were you thinking that appointment? Because that was the first um, uh, like checkup appointment that you went to.
My nerves were bad.
Yes,
the whole day.
They were.
Wasn't a fan of the doctor.
No. Do you like him now? Y'all still not fans of each other? It's mutual, by the way.
I think it's still.
Okay.
I ain't got no.
Him and Maci don't like him.
I don't dislike him.
Maci does better. She doesn't dislike him either. It's just
that's a long story. It's different for me.
Yeah.
What it is.
Maci is just like, you are not my doctor. Because she had went to that previous doctor a couple of times when she was sick. He was super nice to her, you know, and she's like, you're not my doctor. Where's my other doctor? Mm-hmm. That's her issue. I love our doctor. I think he's wonderful. He's my type of doctor in the fact that he is thorough, straight to the point, no chaser, no holds barred. This what it is. This what we're going to do. This is what I think we need to do. You're not going to do it? Whatever. and so we can have a dialogue back and forth about what he thinks needs to be done. But he just lays everything out on the table. He explains anything that you ask. So, yeah. And after about 15 minutes of that, going over some things with us, he was like, I think she's autistic. He was just like that. He took a deep breath and he was like, I think she's autistic. And I was like, and then he asked me, is that what you thought? And immediately I had to be honest. I was like, yeah, like it had crossed my mind. And Michael was like, no, I don't think she's autistic. And he just told him he did not think she was autistic. And when his wife is a speech therapist and worked with autistic children for 30 years. And he was pretty sure. And then I asked him about sensory processing disorder. He was like, that can be a separate diagnosis, and it can also be a part of autism. And I think that we're dealing with a larger issue here. And he's like, I think I want to get her into therapy as soon as possible. And so he was really instrumental in making sure that we knew exactly all the steps that we needed to take to get her into some sort of therapy as soon as possible. So after going to the primary care, we went to a nurse practitioner for neurology. We had an evaluation for speech at the center she goes to, for OT, for ABA, and then we started counseling sessions at like parent counseling sessions at the center as well. And that's where we got the information on what was going to happen next with Maci, 2, what we could do to best help her, and then 3, how to potty train, because that was still a big issue. We were really trying to get her potty trained before 5, because a lot of times after 5 it's harder. You deal with not just not being trained, but not being able to be continent after 5 and 6 years old. So it was weird, like telling family and friends, because they fell into 2 camps of, oh, that's what it is, I thought it was something, or no, absolutely not, my baby is not autistic. All of a sudden Maci is their baby and she is not autistic. My dad was just like Michael. Ain't nothing wrong with her. She'll be all right. She just learned a little different. And then my mom was like, I think my mom had it. My mom and dad keep her like a week or so every year. And I think the year before when they kept her, she was like, Maci did something. She couldn't remember what it was. She was like, that is just like the kids in my class. And she was just like, I hope that's not it. And she had meant to tell me, but she was keeping kids, so she forgotten all about it. What was your mom like when you told her?
She already
knew.
Yeah. She just didn't want to offend none of us. But
yeah.
That's what she told me. So that was it.
Do you have anything else to add to the
Oh,
conversation?
why you just staring at me like that?
I was waiting for you to say something.
Oh no, but that was this year seeing signs of it. You know, because she been around it long enough too. So, uh, I mean, other than that, no, that's all. She just didn't want to be offensive to us, or have us mad at her because she brought it up. But I mean, other than that, no, she hadn't.
You remember how we started telling other people, like besides those who were like directly connected with us?
No, we just started.
Because at that point, I think it was at that point we tried to do Sunday school. We ended up not and waiting a year. But I think it was at that point.
No, I used to just tell them straight up. You know, if they try to have a conversation with her or they try to interact with her like with normal kids, I just tell her, look, she got autism. So you can't. And and most people, if you tell them, they understand.
We've had one or two people who were not understanding. It was very awkward because that's not the reaction that we get. One or two people like, oh no, you just got to talk to her some more. Like,
I ain't never had that.
Yes, it happened to both of us. I'll tell you. I'll remind you about it later.
You talking about at the store?
Michael, I was trying not to say it on the
camera.
camera.
Man, I ain't worried about that. Personal problem. I remember that episode. That was different. But that was the only.
That was probably.
But we experienced that together.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about like on separate. Your experience and my experience. I never had. If I told somebody she had autism, oh okay, and they proceed.
And I think a lot of times people are. People have some sort of knowledge of a child with autism at this point.
Or they know somebody with
and so they may not know exactly what to do, but they know that they can't do what they always do with other children. And they're kind of looking to you for some sort of leading and guiding, which is always helpful. So that was our kind of journey through time and growing with our child and realizing that she was just going to have a few more extra special needs.
And I mean, that can change. You know what I'm saying? So I'm hopeful. Doctor said, like I said, just she away from the straight line right now, and she could easily come over and get on the straight line. So I believe as she get older, things will get better. I mean, I see a big improvement now.
We've seen some amazing growth in Maci.
Like I said,
she run her mouth just like you do now.
No.
Yes, she does.
I don't know.
Yes, she does.
She act like you.
Pray for me. Yes, she does.
So, but like I said, the older she get, I think it'll mellow out. Mm-hmm. She'll catch up. I'm not worried about it.
So, how are we doing working together as a team?
We're doing fairly well. We're both congested.
I'm not congested. I'm congested by yourself.
I am congested. Let's see. Good thing. I don't know. It's been a crazy week for me.
Has it really?
Man, yeah. So I haven't really. I mean, you was gone, so I can't really say.
I've been back for 4 days.
Yeah, but I've been at work. You see what I'm saying? So, y'all forgive me because I'm trying to think. I've been at work. She been out, so we trying to get back in the routine of.
I appreciate how you have been doing more one-on-one with Maci, and she looks for the you in her routine instead of depending on me for a lot of her day-to-day stuff. She be looking for her daddy when I go pick up from school and be disappointed when it's me, and I'm trying to get my feelings hurt, but she be like, Dad. I'm like, no, me. And one thing that you could improve is this empty shelf.
Okay.
Thank you.
One thing you can improve on, and when you lose bets, pay me my money.
First of all, I would have to lose a bet.
You did lose. I'm done.
I did not lose a bet.
All right, so look, now you finna have me go to the comment section on this discussion.
No, we're not doing that in this video.
So that's how I feel. That's what you can work on. I say allowing me to work when I want Mason and just stepping back. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you step in on them grumpy, but that's different.
Yeah,
But,
because you gonna have to stop being grumpy with the
well,
child.
look,
At least before she go to school, because she ain't send her to school grumpy. She got to deal with these people all day.
man, Maci be man.
My child got up at 5:45 this morning talking about cuddles and peanut butter toast.
I almost got Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, DJ Jazz. I'm finna toss her smooth out there.
Oh, I needed her though. Like it takes me like an hour or so to get out of the bed in the morning, and I had somewhere to be for. I went to counseling today. I had to be there for 8 o'clock, and like I would have had to waking up at 6 o'clock to be able to be awake enough to get up and be ready for, you know what I mean. And she came in right on time. Her and the Lord was conspiring to make sure I got out of bed. But it was rough. She was just like, "Where are we gonna do things? It's 5:45. Why aren't you on? Are you happy? I'm happy to see you. Are you happy to see me? I'm up. I'm up. I'm up. I'm up. Oh my gosh!"
Maci almost got hurt this morning. I ain't know what day it was.
We were so like tired, bone weary.
Word, I'm still tired.
Yeah, I see that. Poor baby.
But anyway, don't forget to like, share, subscribe to our videos. Share our videos with someone who may need them. Follow our social medias: Facebook Team Lawson, Instagram Team Lawson 225. Also, if you have any topics, you can email us at teamlawson225@gmail.com, or you can call the number 504-252
0531.
0531.
And we'll see you in the next video.
God bless you.